1 point this season. Far cry from the 33, though.
Yeah, I remember when that was going on. You know, they'd show a lot of games on TV, but I mean, it was just like every game was just a count. You know, they'd won another, and quite impressive.
So has been James Jones coming off the Suns bench, sparking them with 4 field goals. And back the other way now, Tim Duncan in San Antonio at the line. You mentioned that Duncan coming from St. Croix, like Raja Bell. Duncan now 29 years of age, sinks the first one. Struggled a bit last night in the victory over Minnesota, just 5 of 19 from the field.
Well, you know, and when they don't make field goals at a high percentage, you have to foul them if they get easy looks, because they're the worst free throw shooting team in the league.
And congratulations going out to Tim Duncan and his wife Amy over the summer. They had their first child, so his life has changed dramatically over the last few months. 2-point game, Suns in the lead, 8:35 to go until halftime. Diao hands it off to Eddie House. And there's Michael Finley high above the crowd for the rebound. Rebounding advantage to the Spurs, 14-9 here in the first half. Van Exel and Barry a step behind the three-point line, not close.
And Barry has one of those shots you don't know if he's passing it or shooting, and so it kind of disrupts you as a defender and you don't get up on it.
Blocking foul there on Barry of San Antonio. By the way, he comes in shooting 40% from three-point range.
Boris has this part down as well as any big guy in the league, at getting to the rim. And, you know, we have to still remember, Tom, and remind ourselves he's still a young basketball player. And once he figures out the elevation part of it and knowing how long he is, I mean, he'll almost be impossible to guard, especially if he can start to knock down that 15-footer with regularity.
There was a play last night where Sean Marion airmailed one to Diao, who threw in the reverse jam. Phoenix fans love to see that power display by Boris Diaw, who normally finishes in a finesse mode. Inside of 8 minutes to go here in the second quarter.
This is what the Spurs do too. I mean, they have not scoring the basketball, and Barry goes in strong, and they still keep you around. I mean, the Suns had a number of opportunities here to go up maybe 6, 7 points, but the Spurs are so good defensively. Even when they're struggling on offensive end, they just keep you in range.
The former Slam champ, Brent Barry, still has some lift, and he's tied this game at 28. Nash defended there by Nick Van Exel, and a bump and a foul there called on Van Exel. And here comes Bruce Bowen to return for San Antonio. Checking out will be Michael Finley. It was an interesting decision for Michael Finley, wasn't it, Eddie, when he decided to join the San Antonio Spurs team? He could have been a starter here in Phoenix with the Suns. He could have gone to Miami to play with Shaq and Dwayne Wade. Instead, he knew he would be mostly a reserve, even though he's starting right now after Ginobili came off the injured list.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're the champion. I mean, and they've won championships, and that's obviously something foremost in his mind that he would like to achieve. And so if that's the case, then, okay, he made the right decision there. But, you know, this team would have probably given him a lot of more minutes and a lot more opportunities to be productive.
Arch Deluxe applied by Steve Nash on that last Suns possession. 8th lead change here in the first half. Nash now 4 of 6 shooting, 8 points here in the opening half. Kills the dribble, finds Kurt Thomas, pump fake, and a travel on Kurt Thomas. And it's a turnover for Phoenix. They have coughed it up 6 times so far here in the first 2 quarters so far. 4 turnovers for San Antonio.
Well, and that's unlike the Suns, because normally the ball's in Steve Nash's hands, and normally when his teammate catches it, they're in rhythm to shoot it.
Barry wants 3, pops out. Hanging on to each other over there, Kurt Thomas and Duncan, and it's Tim Duncan hit with a personal foul.
And Duncan, you know, Duncan over the last few years, he's really gotten into the habit of arguing with officials about calls. And right there was as obvious as anything, because Kurt Thomas had position. And regardless what Kurt Thomas did, Tim Duncan was behind him, and that's an automatic foul.
Gave Pat Frayer an earful there for a number of seconds, and Phoenix will have it leading by 2. You know, so much talk about the Suns offense, #1 in the league, but Eddie, their defense has been locking up opponents. And individually, too, last 2 games, Allen Iverson had his season low 16 points here at U.S. Airways Center. And last game, Shaquille O'Neal held to 8 points as the Suns again ran him off the court, literally.
Well, and that's the key. I think the Suns' defense is their offense. Their offense is so potent that it wears you down on the other end in your effectiveness to play good offense. And I think that's the key.
Duncan with the block, but then the foul. And he can't believe it again, although the foul is whistled against Rasho Nesterovic.
Well, he's lucky Dick Bavetta made the call, because Dick's a veteran official and he understands star power and, you know, how to, you know, really be selective with guys. But Tim Duncan is the guy that fouled, and there's no doubt about it.
Again, you can talk about the Suns' offense being a part of their defense, too. But when Miami did have it in the low block, they had a Shaq sandwich going on there. They had a defender in front, defender behind Shaq, and a third running at him.
I agree, but, you know, and they did a good job that way, Tom, but I'll still go on record as saying the reason Shaq didn't score a lot is because the game was so fast-paced, they couldn't get it into the rhythm to get him the basketball. And I think that's what the Suns do to you if you're a big, dominant team that want to force the ball down low. It's difficult with Duncan because he can step out on the floor and play the small man game with you a little bit and knock down the jump shot.
Duncan heads to the sidelines with 2 personal fouls, has 8 points so far here in the first half. And checking in for the first time, Fabricio Oberto from Argentina. They call him Fabio, and he was a teammate on the Argentinian national team with the man who just fired away Manu Ginobili. And there's a third player, Luis Scola, who San Antonio is hoping to bring into the fold possibly next season. They have done a tremendous job scouting the international ranks, in particular top players in Argentina. Bowen from the outside comes up short. Oberto keeps it alive. Greg Popovich calling Oberto the ugliest pretty player I've ever seen. From the outside and for 3, it's Robert Horry. Here come the Suns on the run, but back defensively, Tony Parker.
A different team than the one they faced last night and getting back in transition. As soon as that basketball went in, you had 2 Spurs turn and sprint to the other end.
Going back to Oberto, though, he is a hustler. He will crash the offensive glass. He'll set the picks. He's the kind of player that his teammates absolutely love.
What's so pretty about him?
You'll have to talk to Pop about that one.
Well, Pop obviously doesn't have great taste.
Those are the long locks. Kicked there by Tony Parker, and 5:03 to go here until halftime in a tight battle between these 2 Western Conference foes who met in the Western Conference Finals. It's a 1-point game.
Hi, I'm